Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Roman Clash bringing you another spoken word. Spoken word number 5, here goes. When I see my people, when I see them all over the world, whether they're in the DR, Haiti, it's a big old swirl. When I look at my people, whether they're in the north or south, in the wilderness they call North America, I still see me just as I see you. But your problem is, do we see the truth? Truth of the matter is, we're separated by the boats, but not by the heritage. We're separated by the notion, but not by the ocean. Just like an old Native American proverb, the bones will eventually become the earth, and our blood becomes the water again. Let me add something more to that. The warmth that we give becomes the fire that keeps us warm. And the last breaths that we give on our death shall go back into the sky for new generations to breathe. But then I may ask you a question on to you is this. What happens to us when we don't agree? It becomes real sad and it becomes real hate feeling. It becomes enraging, incensed beyond belief. Because when I see insanity, Einstein's theory that when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, to intelligence, that's an insult. Because when I look at my history, when I look at my people, when I look at everybody else, I look at an equal. But yet there are people who profit from inequality. Yet they want to talk about when unity happens, that's blasphemy. When peace comes, there'll be no money. When war ceases, there'll be no oil greases. There'll be no guap, no money, no moolah, none of that, no greenbacks. You know what, man? That shit should hit the sack. When I look at Haiti, when I look at the Dominican Republic, when I see that, I saw something that expresses tints of hatred. Something that's been going on that's dated centuries back. When Spain conquered the DR, and then Haiti conquered the DR. But then again, European imperialism happened on both up and down cycles. And now, not even something like 100 years, not even 100 years later, like 400, 500 years later, sad enough, we're still going through the same thing. Like the horses that go through the same reins. Just tired, clashing, whipping, bashing, wondering why. Why? Why are we beating a dead horse when that horse hasn't done anything for us but fuel our oppressors' money? Sure, some of you may say, I don't understand. Sure, some of you may say, I don't know the full extent of the problem, but I'm going to give you my take on it. And my take is this. If we try to fight each other, we will cease to exist. When black on black violence keep on coming, by the time the next generation comes, they won't be running. But will they be fighting? That's a big guess. But to the rest, just like I handled down, just like you put toothpaste that's called Crest on your toothbrushes, I'm going to give it to you straight. Sometimes when I look at the conscious community, sometimes when I look at, black people who are so-called conscious, who are so-called, revolutionaries, who are just nothing but petty bourgeois blacks, sometimes crabs in a barrel, sometimes when I look at them, it's just like, why? We're pulling each other down when we're supposed to bring each other up. That's what's up. But yet when I look at them, and I look at me, and I'm just like, wait a minute, man. I thought me and you were supposed to be on the team. But yeah, you got one ideology against the other ideology. That's stupid. Just like the conscious stripper versus the doctor, which is elusive. So what if people don't have two morals? So what? If you're fighting for the same damn dream, which is Marcus Garvey's living legacy, it shouldn't matter. Because you want to know why? Because black lives matter. Our lives matter. Yeah, if all of you gonna look at me and say you're too young to understand, you don't know the full context of it, you don't know the full history, you don't understand, you don't get it. But let me put it like this: if adults keep on constantly fighting each other like teenagers, how you gonna teach the youth the truth? And if adults constantly keep on teaching each other instead of teaching the youth on how to be great leaders, how can you be a great teacher if you're doing nothing but lousy preaching? Yeah, it's so sad when I look at my people, when I look at me, and then I look at the generation that will come after me. It just speaks volumes that it might just say, damn, what happened? Why can't we, get along? Just like what happened with Haiti and the DR. And I understand. Some of you may say you don't understand what goes on in that heyday. You don't understand that there was a lot of things that's going on. There are a lot of privileges and there are a lot of disagreements, which I'll say that is true. But onto you, I say this: innocent lives being maimed, disrespecting people's cultures, how they look, and how the way they talk, knowing the fact that they grew up their lives right there. Now, place yourself in their shoes, and you may say, what are you trying to say? But my question onto you is this: if you want to talk about hatred, if you want to talk about envy, if you want to talk about history, remember, in Eurocentric society, it's already been painted in blood. It's already been painted in our own bones. Our bones were the utensils, and the blood was just the paint. Slavery was the way, for them at least. But yeah, when it comes right down to it, when I look at my people, regardless if they come from around the world, I see trouble. Because you know why? They're being beaten, brutalized, women being beaten, brutalized, men being disrespectfully treated with disrespect, all because other people who are of a higher set look down on those and say, you're not the ones who have the purest soul. I do. Is that necessarily true? No. Because you know why? Because the soul is just like the sun, and the sun represents the truth. But my question is this: what side of the sun are you on? Even though it is 360 degrees, so it has no side, virtually. So it's either a yes or a no. Do you have a soul? Or are you falsifying a prophet? No, I don't mean a prophet as in like the prophet of God. I mean prophet, somebody that's willing to put something in their pockets. People who make money off of trouble. People who make money off of anything else. And yet they want to talk about, what does it mean of knowledge, of health, wealth, and self? Onto you, I say is this: why do you dismiss the true problem? If you're poor and he's poor, don't be like crabs in a barrel and pull each other down. Be brothers and lift each other up. Don't be like the boss that tells you, go over there and do this. Be a leader and say, I will help you, so you can have some assist. But yet people think that strife, spite, and all these things that cause dimming of the light is beautiful. Well, guess what? We all live under the same light. And once that same light goes, you go. Remember, we breathe the same oxygen. We live on the same land. We drink the same water. We breathe the same air. We are warmed by the same fire. And that's no God. But for a while, you think that money is good. But just like a Native American proverb, when the last tree is gone, let's see how long you can live on for money. And when the last bee is gone, let's see how long you can last without no honey. And when the last drop of pure water is gone, let's see how long your mansions will last. And for all intents and purposes, if you want to talk about how much assets you have, let's see how long that will go until your family says, you already sold your soul. Just like when I look at my people, especially nowadays, back in our heyday, we cared about each other. We didn't care about, oh, where we came from, where we going. We mattered about our history, we mattered about our people and our culture, because we're all from the same steeple. We talk, we bless. We also hug and make sure we are at rest. But those who are willing to fight won't think, because it's their turn in the light. It's because they are delighted to actually help out those who are in the struggle. But in the struggle, what will happen if you're against your own brother and your own brother decides to turn up against you? All because he doesn't agree with you. Do you say, you're not my brother anymore, so I should shoot you? Or should you look at them and say, what happened? What did I do to you? And they say nothing, and you think back, and you say, you're right, because I wasn't there in your life. And looking at family members, looking at how the way they don't even care about each other, mom, pop's generation, grandma and grandpa's generation, great-grandma, great-grandpa's generation, my generation. Back then, it was tightly and close-knit. Now things began to switch, and we began to split. We had our disagreements, we had our spites, we have our faults. But then my question is, why? Why would you use your own children to make up a life that you couldn't even commit to? Considering the fact that it's just detrimental. And when I look at that, I think back on why. And I figured out the reason why. Because we were taught to hate by the hate. Isn't that irate? The fact that we can't teach ourselves to love, but the only thing we know is how to hate and how to survive. Love and survival go hand in hand, but hatred and decimation go hand in hand as well. Because when you hate yourself, you hate the tree. And when you hate the tree, you hate the roots. And just like what Marcus Garvey once said, a people without their history is like a tree without their roots. So how can a tree grow when there are no roots? How can a community grow when there are no roots, especially towards their own culture and their own history? How can a country grow if the people are constantly fighting against each other, despite being different from one another, but yet they share the same sky? How can the world come together if we're fighting against each other because of different beliefs, different ideals, and different struggles? Sure, a troublemaker may have said, yeah, you are better than this one, and you are inferior. The superior has an edge over you. Now, my question on to you is this. If you believe in the trickster, you've been tricked. And what do they say? Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. Hence why the magician leaves with the money. And you're left with some phony. Now, my question on to you is this. While I may use DR and Haiti and what's going on right over there as an example of disunification and dissatisfaction on a historical level, look at it on a more personal level. Look at the hatred. Look at how the way it kind of connects to us as a people. Some of you may say you don't agree. Some of you say you don't understand the whole story. And that's cool. But at the same time, if you want us to come together and understand each other, you're going to have to sit down and look at your enemy and say, as much as I have contempt for you, you are a human being just like I am. Don't be haughty, don't be naughty, be courteous, and be kind. But just like what they say, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind. Yet at the same time, when it comes right down to self-defense, that should be your last resort in the end. Just like Malcolm X once said, be kind, be courteous. But as soon as somebody puts their hands on you, You send him to the cemetery. Remember, those last words are supposed to be your last resort. Too bad we use that as our first resort. Hence why when the youth get angry, they always retort. And yet people want to ask, what happened to us? How come we don't get together? How come we don't come together? How come the youth is so angry? How come we as a people are sad? And I say simple. Because the new age elders, they're not doing their job. And from afar, it's actually pretty sad. It's pretty sad, actually. And I'm one of the youth that noticed this. And to be honest, we need to come together. Not by colony by colony, but by heritage. But at the same time, keep on thinking that your oppressor is your helper when he's your deceiver in the end. Truth be told, I care. I love my people, just like I love my family. But at the same time, is that truly blasphemy? It's not. If you can trust me. And with that, YouTube, that's my spoken word. Later.